When you think of Bali, the first thing that comes to mind is beaches, mountains, jungle, and then in the middle of it all, thousands of tourists on scooters. But this could change very soon, because the governor of Bali wants to ban tourists from renting scooters on his island. The ban is a reaction to the misbehaving and the traffic violations of multiple foreigners during the last years. So let's look at what is going wrong in Bali and if tourists really have to ditch their scooters for cars in the future. In 2019, around 6 million people visited Bali. After COVID, the numbers obviously dropped, but are back to 1.3 million arrivals in the year 2024. And this growth is expected to continue. Because of this growth, Bali is currently rethinking their tourism strategy, and they're even planning to build a new airport in the north of the country, which in a lot of opinions is a bad idea, but nevertheless this airport would bring millions of new tourists to the island. Because of this, the governor is talking about a ban on renting scooters for tourists. He requested the national authorities to ban all foreigners from renting motor scooters due to the spate of incidents, including abuse of police by foreigner riders and failing to wear helmets, and even using fake number plates. Adding to that, Bali roads are chaotic, and for foreigners it's not easy to navigate. There are unmarked speed limits, unpredictable obstacles like stray dogs or sudden potholes, and the local logic, which refers to the traffic flow and their own and oftentimes spontaneous traffic rules in Indonesia. This is why tourists crash so much more often in Indonesia than the locals. And with that, they're endangering the locals and they're filling up hospitals. And this is not bound to Indonesia only. If you've ever been to Thailand, you have at least seen 1 or 2 crashes. And if you go to the hospitals there, you will probably have the emergency room filled up with 50% of tourists who had a traffic incident. In 2023, 624 tourists unalived themselves in Thailand while driving a scooter. In comparison to that, in Bali alone, not Indonesia, just Bali, 405 tourists unalived themselves in just 1 year, which probably has a lot to do with the road conditions and the lack of enforcement on roads. Thailand definitely has learned this lesson from previous years with a lot of deaths, because if you go now to even the islands, you will have a lot of traffic stops, a lot of controls, and especially the rentals will follow a lot of the rules that are now in place. The Indonesian bike rentals are not really happy about the ban, and they already put up statements on their websites. Let me read you one. Please note that there is no law as of yet in Indonesia prohibiting tourists from renting bikes. The police is very hands-on at the moment. The reason is that culprits are renting bikes in Bali, not respecting local laws and customs. Also, there are unlicensed, foreigner-owned motorbike rental companies not following the incorporation and business laws in Bali. There are not even that many laws in Indonesia, and if everybody would follow them, I think there would be no need for a ban. The first rule is that you and your partner always have to wear a helmet. The second rule, which almost nobody follows because it's pretty expensive, is you have to get an international driver's license before coming to Indonesia. The third rule is you should never ride shirtless in Bali. It's to respect the local traditions and religion, but also you should have something on if you fall off the bike so you're not completely scrapped off. So even if you're not doing it for the religion, you should do it for your own safety. You should never drink and drive. I think that's something very common, especially if you're on a scooter, it's way easier to crash. But besides that, you should never be drinking and driving. If tourists would follow these rules, there would be less offended locals, less crashes, and no need for a ban. I mean, it could be so easy. With his ask for a ban for tourists, the governor also asked for a ban of a special group of tourists, Russians. He asked Jakarta for a ban of all Russian tourists and to revoke all the remaining visas of Russian tourists. His reasoning was that they are the worst behaved by far and that they are flocking the island extremely and are putting a lot of pressure on locals. And his biggest issue with the Russians was that a few of them misuse their tourist visa to build a business in Bali and actually earn money. But let's go back to the scooters. Will they really be banned in Bali 2025? Bali is heavily reliant on tourists. 60% of the GDP is made from tourism, and a lot of this is coming from the scooter rentals. So I don't think Bali will ban tourists from riding scooters on the island, because it's such a vital part of the economy And it also makes traffic so much easier, because if anyone knows certain parts of Bali, you would know that traffic jams are horrible there. And now imagining this with only cars, I think you would never arrive at your destination. The announcement with the ban hasn't been made the first time. There have been already 2 or 3 times before in the recent years that the governor announced the ban and nothing happened. What I do think will happen is that Bali will enforce their traffic laws even more than they are currently doing. They will be banning bad drivers, and they will work on the conditions of the streets, because they are also a big part in all the accidents. As a guest in Indonesia, you should definitely respect the local laws, be careful and not endanger locals unnecessarily because you wanted to have fun. So let's see how Bali will shape their future. Let's see how tourists will form Bali, because it's not only about the locals and the government. It's also about the tourists that come, how they behave, how they integrate, and what expectations they bring to the island. So let's see if the regulations will change in Bali, if they will enforce the laws more, or if they will really ban tourists from driving scooters on the island. I will definitely keep you updated on the situation, so leave me a like if you enjoyed the video, comment below what you think about the scooter rental situation in Southeast Asia, and I see you next time.